Hello everyone and welcome to AEW Discussion. I'm your host and AEW enthusiast Nucky Doug, and today's episode I'm going to be discussing Dynamite, November 29, 2023 edition. And this episode of Dynamite featured 3 matches from the Continental Classic Gold League, as well as a response from Christian Cage to Adam Copeland, and a massive title match set for next week's Dynamite. And with that, we're going to get right into the action. Starting with the Continental Classic Gold League match to kick off the show, John Moxley versus Jay Lethal. And Moxley became the first competitor to earn 6 points in this Continental Classic, defeating Lethal in the opening contest of Wednesday's show. Lethal targeted the left knee of Moxley, which had been damaged during a tope to his suicida. Early in the match, the former AEW World Champion would fight through the pain and fend off his opponent's determination to not be shut out of points. Moxley earns a victory, and Lethal remains winless in the tournament, which is a shame. Lethal wasn't exactly considered a favorite to win the tournament, but it is a shame that he's been put in, that he's lost back-to-back matches, and it's hard to see where he gets his first win. And as for Moxley should be considered a favorite in the Gold League at the very least. Mark Brisco versus Rush in another Continental Classic Gold League match, and Rush would earn his first points of the Continental Classic, defeating Brisco in a match that was better than the opener and uber competitive at that. A hard-hitting battle between 2 men who showed appropriate amounts of urgency given the deficit they found themselves in. Rush winning was probably the right call, but that particular outcome takes another Ring of Honor original and puts him in a hole, winless in the tournament to crown the first AEW Triple Crown champion. Brisco joins Lethal as the only 2 competitors to compete twice and lose both matches. One of those guys will eventually get a win, but that does not necessarily do much for the legacy of a Ring of Honor brand that has already seen its importance devalued by the manner in which it has been portrayed over the last year. So yeah, Brisco, another guy not expected to win this tournament, but it is a shame that the first couple matches have found him winless. And as for Rush, don't count out Rush in this tournament. I don't know if he's going to win it, but he is a wild card, and he's on the board with 3 points. Christian Cage's response to Adam Copeland, and next week we have a huge title match for the TNT title, Christian Cage versus Adam Copeland. And 1 week after Copeland challenged Cage for a shot at the TNT title, the champion requested his former friend and tag team partner to come to the ring for his response. Cage attempted to sweet talk Copeland, taking him on a journey through their long history together before trying to convince Copeland to reunite with him for one last tag team run, and not only just do it for them, but do it for Copeland's late mother. Copeland would then respond with a low blow and some blunt profanity. Whoever was supposed to censor that was, well, they were sleeping on the job. And this was blunt profanity that wraps up another great segment between these two, and also another great showcase of Christian Cage's character work. Copeland versus Cage is a huge main event and should make for some must-see television next week in Montreal. Continental Classic Gold League to close out the show, Jay White versus Strickland. And Strickland joined Moxley with 6 points in the Continental Classic, defeating Jay White in a solid main event. The 2 demonstrated chemistry and crafted a match where both were allowed to shine through cerebral mat work, reversals, and counters, culminating with Strickland out-wrestling White for the win. The match was a great showcase for 2 of the budding faces of AEW, won by arguably the hottest guy in the company not named MJF. The look on White's face after the match suggests that he might become more dangerous than ever as desperation sets in early in the tournament. What that leads him to do, if anything, and how it affects his pursuit of a Triple Crown remains to be seen. So White is another wild card like Rush in this tournament, but I think Strickland has to be the current favorite to win this tournament. He's tied with Mox, so maybe it comes down to those 2 in the end. Those 2 are going to go one-on-one. It's not known when, but you have to imagine whoever wins the one-on-one match between those 2, that might just determine who wins the Gold League. But again, don't count out Rush, don't count out White. Unfortunately, you might have to count out Lethal and Brisco. So in conclusion, another steady builder for AEW. Continental Classic action was mostly good, if not great, in regards to the main event. But the lack of storylines being intertwined in the tournament is noticeable. And perhaps it has hurt hurt the content of the Classic. Yes, the focus is supposed to be on the matches themselves, but AEW might want to consider having something else for fans to invest their time and energy in beyond just the ring work. Look back at the Texas Death match between Strickland and Hangman Page. A bloody, ultraviolet brawl that made sense within the context of the storyline at play. Without those stories, the Continental Classic is just matches for matches' sake, and while they may be good, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, they're matches for matches' sake, and that's not always a bad thing. But if you can add a little bit of story to it, it makes it even better. Moving on from that, the MJF promo was great, and he did it one night what previous companies and even AEW had failed to do up to this point, which is accurately depict how important Joe is to the history of wrestling and explain why the company is lucky to have him. Not only does it elevate him for his match with MJF on World's End, but it's a sign of respect for a guy who was instrumental in laying the groundwork for the style of wrestling seen across the industry today. Julia Hart shined in her TBS title defense. Top Flight and Action and Andretti got a big win in what is hopefully a sign of things to come in the Trios division, and Christian Cage continues to be a national treasure. Another solid show from AEW that would have been even more highly regarded if there was some way to make the ongoing tournament bouts feel more significant through different story threads. But as it stands right now, it's still a good tournament. The in-ring action is solid, and even if you aren't able to craft stories, I think you can still keep people invested from start to finish. But again, maybe try to see if you can find some stories intertwined with these matches. And with that, that will conclude this episode of AEW Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below.